Hi everybody, this is Dotty from Premium Websites and Ask Dotty. And I've had a lot of people ask me, how is it that I got to where I am today? And I'll tell you, there was a lot of steps, a lot of learning, a lot of self-improvement, a lot of everything. But today I'm going to talk about my basic background. Something I hardly ever talk about. Most of you don't know unless you're family. But family's probably not watching this. So really how I got started was I became really tired of the whole job thing. And I say that with a huge history of probably the same thing that a lot of you guys have gone through, especially if you're women. Like for example, one of my first real jobs was during the summer times at when I was in high school. And I grew up in a farming community. One of the jobs that I had was I drove a pea swather. And you may laugh. In fact, most of you probably don't even know what that is. But essentially, it cuts the peas, it puts them in a row, and then a combine comes by and picks them up. Well, for whatever reason, the women were supposed to drive the combines, and the men were supposed to drive the swathers. Who decided that? I have no idea. But anyway, I was driving a swather. I was the only woman doing it. I would say girl at that point. I think I was like 17-ish, somewhere in there. And, I grew up, like I said, in a farming community. The swathers were actually really old tractors turned around backwards, and they had a cutting reel on front of them. So, okay, when I say really old, this was probably in, I would say, about 1986, 87, somewhere in there. And the tractors were probably from, I'm guessing, the 60s, so really old. They broke down a lot. You had to fix them, all these kinds of things. So basically what I found out about halfway through the season was that on the first day, the other drivers and actually some other people within the company took a poll and actually put money down and gambled on the day that I would quit because I was a woman. Now, I was never supposed to have found out about this, obviously. I wasn't involved. And the reason I found out is because, when things would break down, I would call the mechanic out and I would watch him fix whatever the problem was. And after one or two times of that, I pretty much was able to fix it myself because I watched him. Whereas the other people would just go eat lunch or screw around, whatever they did. So the mechanic liked me and he told me about this thing. And I thought, should I really be bothered about this? Or, you know what? Do I get the money if I don't quit? He's like, I doubt that'll happen. Well, I didn't get the money. I didn't even say anything to anybody, so it wasn't even a thing. But I also didn't quit. I outlasted 90% of the drivers that were there because, quite honestly, in the beginning of the season, you start on flat ground, and this is in the Blue Mountains. As you moved towards the end of the season, the peas went up and up in elevation and steepness, so we went into the mountains. And most of the guys were too afraid to drive on the side of a hill in something that didn't have a leveler. So, who did all those jobs? I did. I was the last actual driver that season to work. So did I win? I guess so. The whole point is that was like the beginning of a bunch of jobs that, would you describe that as sexual harassment? Gray area there. But, there's just a lot of things that women have to overcome in the workforce that men never even think about. Other examples, well, I've had tons of them. So if I've had tons of them, I know probably almost every woman that's, well, see, that was at 17. I wasn't going to say over 40s had them, but I all through my 20s, different jobs, had completely different issues, but they were all something that I didn't feel like I should even have to deal with. And so I became what I call unemployable. I was tired of to get a raise, changing jobs within the same field, yes, but you don't get a raise where you're at, so you change jobs. I did that a lot. And let me tell you, the men got raises. So that was my answer, is I would just quit and go get another job. Well, it became evident that this is not really something sustainable throughout my life, and I wanted to make a wage that I could support myself and my family and not have to rely on anybody else. So that is when I started to teach myself a skill, and I chose to do something I could work from home with, and that is to create websites. I work on the internet. So anywhere that has an internet connection, I can work. Initially, that really was at home, because this was kind of in the area where Wi-Fi was just starting to be a thing, and it didn't work so great. It certainly wasn't very fast. And anyway, so I trained myself to build websites, and then I trained myself how to market myself, because you can't just hang up a sign, say I'm going to do website creation or whatever skill or service or product that you want to sell. You don't just hang up a sign and have people come. Actually, you don't just create a website for your business and have people show up. There's a lot to it. There's so much more than just doing one thing, whatever that one thing is. Think 10, 20 times. You need to do a whole bunch of different things. And I'm telling you, I figured it out one thing at a time. I figured out what worked and continued. So I figured out a whole lot of different strategies that you can use to promote yourself, promote your product, promote your services, all of that. So this is Dotty with Ask Dotty and Premium Websites. Have an awesome day.